Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm here to talk about what makes a good blitz wheel. What makes a wheel good for any type of blitzing, whether that be off-roading, drag racing, or circuit racing. In either case, each wheel is very different, each rider is very different, each terrain is very different. So how do we determine what makes a good blitz wheel? Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the form factor or profile of the wheel relative to the rider. Now, you don't want the form factor, meaning the weight, height, width, length of the wheel, to overshadow your own profile. So for example, I weigh 5'9" at 177 pounds, so I'm not too tall or overweight for this machine. So what are the advantages of when both the body profile of the rider and form factor profile of the wheel match or agree? So number one is the acceleration. Acceleration won't be an issue. Remember, the wheel can only perform to its optimum performance when you work within the manufacturer's specs. So in this example, the EX30 has a load limit of 330 pounds, which means I'm well below that threshold. That translates to a rider like myself being able to push it to its optimum performance with no worries of cutting out or anything like that. So number two is battery. Okay, battery is very important. Now, while there's no set parameters we could look at to determine what should be the ratio between the motor output versus battery output for any particular wheel, it's a good rule to ensure that for high-powered wheels such as this EX30, the motor should not be more than double the watt hours of the battery. Now, to put that in perspective, the S18, for example, has a motor output of, I don't know, 2200 watt hours, but the motor is rated at only 903 watt hours to 1100 watt hours, depending on where you purchase it from. Now, to be fair, you can say, well, for the 1100 watt hour battery version, that's exactly 2 times that of the motor. However, I would still disqualify it as a suitable wheel for extreme activities because the moment you start pushing the wheel, that 1100 watt hour becomes extremely insufficient to maintain the current draw requirements of the S18, especially if the rider profile does not agree with the overall specs of the wheel. In short, there is no buffer for unsuspecting scenarios. Now, the motor of this EX30 is rated at 4000 watts, which means I'm working with the motor and not against it, given my weight and my body profile. Everything about the rider must complement the wheel you choose in order to attain the best performance possible. Another thing is the setup of the wheel. One cannot ignore the overall setup of the machine. From the pedals you choose, all right, to the angles of those pedals, to the type of pads, whether that be custom pads or off-the-shelf designs, or a combination of both, as you can see here. Whatever your decision, the comfort level to how secure you feel in various conditions will ultimately determine how well you perform. Now, another thing regarding setup is footwear. In my experience, a simple slip of your socks inside your shoe can make the difference between life and limb. Finally, I would say, how familiar are you with the wheel? What's your riding history? How many times have you challenged yourself based upon your rider type, whether that be drag, circuit, or off-roading? All of this will determine if a certain wheel is a good candidate to being a good blitz wheel or not. Now, I'm still learning the EX30. However, I've ridden it enough to qualify it as a more than perfect candidate for drag, circuit, or light trails. I hope this short video helped you guys on determining if a particular wheel qualifies as a good blitz wheel or not. Don't forget to sign up to become an EUC Blitz racer at EUCblitz.com if you're on the East Coast, if you feel you have what it takes to compete. All right, guys, until next time, happy riding. Did you see that? That was rocking like crazy, dude. What the freak was that? What? I hope I captured that because that was nuts. That's the craziest bucking I've ever experienced. Crazy.